Oh, they changed the voice there. So thanks everyone for sharing. It was nice to open the circle that way. It's a great way to be able to see what people are carrying and bringing in. We are May 11th, so a couple days after Mother's Day, and Mother's Day is celebrated different days around the world. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And we are all, no matter what sex or whatever, we all mother ourselves as well. So make sure that you include yourself in that. So this is Rose with By Design, the one who catches lightning with the path of patience. No, I'm gonna get into it.
I was like, do you need
No.
like cue card for this part?
I know. Usually don't.
Read the
I
teleprompter.
know. Today our topic is.
You don't remember?
You came up with the word.
Oh, well, but it was partly your topic. Okay, so the topic for today is reclaiming positivity. And you folks all know that when me and Marita do the topics for our new moon, for our full moon, we really, we kind of have this little informal ritual and ceremony that we do when we're coming up with the topics, where we talk about what is going on for the people that we're working with, what feels alive sort of like in the communities that we're in, what is going on with the cosmos and the energy of the moon and the seasons and all of these things. And so, do you want to share a little bit about your piece of it? Because you really initiated the conversation, I feel like, and then we kind of tied it together, which is how we came up with that topic.
Yeah, I think we do that. Let's open the circle and then we'll go into
That sounds great. So to start, that we'll leave you with that topic. You can begin letting that in and see what emerges and what rises to the surface, and we will open the circle.
So as we settle into this time, into our skin, into our bones, into our muscle, into our tissue, into all that has been, will be, and is right now, let us approach the circle with our three parts, inviting them in to take place with us today, not leaving any part of us behind. And as we do that, let us take our 3 breaths in and out through the nose, bringing our mind into this time and this place, in and out through the nose, bringing the body into this time, into this place, in and out through the nose, bringing the essence into this time and place. And as we do that, just sit with the circle, in the circle, as we call upon Mother Earth for root, that to which we have earned. We ask today for a borrowed root, for we are in a new moon, in a time of unknowing, so can we just receive? And as you allow that root to come up in any way that feels good for you, we humbly turn to the skies, into the cosmos, reminding ourselves that the seeds inside of us are also stars. We humbly approach Onohe, Grandmother Moon. And Onohe is from the Moonwalker tradition. So every time we bring in that name of the moon, we are bringing in the Moonwalkers. The Moonwalkers are a lineage that has been held for 400 years, and it became a lineage after Grandfather Moonwalker saw what was going to happen and saw that the time of the conquistadores was upon them. And so understood that they had to start building a bridge between practices and cultures. And so just by invoking Onohe, we bring in that energy of bridge. And as that bridge comes down from the heavens in moon rainbow light uniting with you at your heart space. Just allow it to settle in, for yourself to settle in as the guardians of the direction graciously open the circle to the north, that time where we sat with our ancestors and were reminded about our seeds of potential and how we carry them. Some of our ancestors even gave us roots, not just seeds. See if you can feel into that today. In the balance, there's the south, the time where those roots grow or those seeds grow in heat because they had enough water in the east. They had enough opportunity to start a new beginning. When you plant anything, it needs a lot of water. Sorry, bamboo's not doing so well, probably. You have to water it extra, take extra care, extra nourishment. You have to receive more. We are in the time of the East. Can you receive more today? Instead of always looking at life as something that you have to do or accomplish. And with that balance, the way that we balance that, we turn to the west, the time of the long shadow, our shadow. Can we sit with the dark and the light, bridging those two, knowing that we are one and the same? And with that, you can call in any guides that come in a good way to sit with you, to help you listen, to help you get this into your bones. And as the circle is open, we will begin the plática. If you need to do an extra stretch right now, would be the good time to do it. Okay. The title of today's plática is Reclaiming Positivity. It started as Happiness Habit, which I liked a lot. Rose came up with it. She's like, but that's a book. I don't want to do a book right now. But one of the things that we forget is we forget that sometimes when we are learning new things, that it takes time. And that when we are in the unknown, in a place of receiving, in a place where we are trying to change, to develop new habits, that sometimes it's not just time that it takes. And that time is not just something that is needed to create a new neural pathway, right? To remind yourself that you're trying to create a new neural pathway. That takes about 13 days in. It takes about 9 months to get something into your body. But it's really about also a culture-based. When you come from a culture that separates the idea of your soul and your mind, when you are trying to sit with yourself and they are separate, you have no bridge. And so something that I've been seeing a lot of is the spiritual intellectualism. And we get stuck with these words that we don't even know how to do, or we try to create habits, but we don't have a memory of how to do that in a way which has more ease. And that's because we have forgotten that our mind actually loves resting in our heart with our soul. We think that we have to constantly separate our pieces of ourselves to be able to accomplish the next thing. And so we habitually go into our habits of creating habits. Habits of creating habits. It's like my chihuahua chasing its tail, right? No one will play with me, so I'll just create a habit of chasing my tail. How many times in you trying to create something new does it feel like you just get into the habit of creating a habit and you're just chasing your tail? So just take a moment to reflect on that. Between memes and books and movements, we had the high vibe people come online. Well, they've always been with us, right? And then high vibe people started getting a bad rap because they weren't taking it in, and they were just saying, I just need to repeat this, or I need to repeat this mantra, or I need to just be happy, right? Happiness is not guaranteed, right, Elaine, in the Constitution? Not guaranteed. My father never asked me, be happy. He said, be grateful. He knew that gratitude, in the way that he talked about gratitude, was not about be grateful because I bought you that. Well, sometimes it was like that, but it was gratitude is the bridge between the mind, the body, and the essence. Gratitude allows you the ability to receive. And so when we're talking about redefining, our way of habits, redefining and reclaiming positivity, can we reclaim it by knowing that we are not doing it alone? And that's what happens in Western world. I'm going to create a habit. It is mine alone, and this is how I do it, and blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't work because you isolate yourself. You isolate your mind, your body, and your essence. Gratitude allows you to look at everything around you as something that is not separate. If you've walked with me for a while, we talk about the sacredness of everything. We talk about true humility, knowing you are greater nor lesser than anything. And I'm going to question you right now. Where is that? How many times have I said that? And where is that true humility? Is it still stuck in some little drawer in your head that you pop it out? Oh yeah, Marita says that once in a while. Oh, I wonder what that means. Is it in your heart that you feel it once in a while? Is it in your essence? Or have you been able to weave it all together into your bones so you come from that truth, not habit? Can you start looking to reclaim how you do things and reclaim it to how you are all things? Today, we have an amazing opportunity with the new moon. Everyone says, I set new intentions. What's moving forward? Can you sit not knowing, not planning, and just asking for help? Knowing, you know what? I keep trying to change this. And whether I'm doing my staying positive, and by staying positive, I'm not dealing with all the negative, because we don't want that to creep in, right? That's what people tell us. If you say something negative, it's going to be in your life, right? Therefore, you have fear as a habit of creating new habits. So you have to look at the heart. Are your habits being brought on from the generosity of gratitude and love and becoming one with everything? Or are they still in that fear base? I need to do this. I am isolated. I am alone. And if I do it wrong, then I am wrong. So today, can you go and find the string of all your habits and everything that they've knit together? and look at it and say, where did it start? Do I need to unravel it? Do I need to start a new beginning? Or can I now, here where I am, add a new beginning and a new string and a new way, not knowing how I am going to get it into my body, into my mind, into my essence, into a deeper way of understanding. Because what has to happen is that this has to come together. All of this has to come together. Then that's where you're not just working a habit or the habit is working you, but where you can get into the energía, the true energy of gratitude, joy, and positivity, instead of just faking it till you make it, which is sometimes necessary if that's how you've learned. And if that's how you've learned, is there a new way to learn? Or can you use that energy and do small shifts by asking for help?
Okay. I always feel like there's directions that you go in during the Plática that I'm like, oh, we didn't talk about that. This is taking a totally new direction. And then it circles back. And then it always circles back.
My little labyrinth of a Plática.
So in a moment, we will begin the meditation. But before we do, I wanted to also share just a little bit of context, additional context, a little extension of the Plática. When Marita is talking about this idea of having the energy inside of you, and bringing the energy in, I always feel like there's these two pieces to transformation. There's the transformation of our outside circumstances that we are able to impact, that like intentional transformation in our own lives. There's the transformation of the circumstances outside of us that we do have influence over. And sometimes it takes time. So when we are trying to change our life to be more conducive to peace, to happiness, to having less stress, to being able to live in more harmony with our environment, whatever the goal is for you, there is that work of changing your external circumstances, practices in order to support that. And sometimes it can take time. Getting out of jobs that are really, really toxic for you can take time, right? Depending on our resources. But there's also the internal process of being able to live in the energy of it right now, which is, I think, what you were talking about at the end. And reclaiming positivity. And this topic of reclaiming positivity came alive today in part because we were talking about how this new moon feels like a little bit of a breather and a pause, but maybe not a completely neutral one. That actually there's this opportunity and people might be experiencing some small like boons, some little pieces of relief and positivity and enjoyment. And then how can we get out of our habit of existence in stress, overwhelm, pushing, just like whatever your habit is of being, a habit of being, emotional, physical, spiritual beingness inside of yourself, and connect to the energy and beingness of being positive, of feeling positive in these moments that like open the door a little bit wider for you to access it more easily. Because as all of you know, working with Marita, like part of the work is doing the inner work that allows you to, when you come across new circumstances, when you come across stressors, how can you be cohesive enough inside of yourself to try to remain somewhat neutral, not neutral meaning not having an opinion, not having feelings, but neutral in that you are not creating a big rift, an energy leak, a hole inside of yourself that then opens you up for attacks, that opens you up for disempowerment, where you're giving your power away. And the interesting thing about positivity, and I read an article about this recently that reflected something that I've been thinking about a lot around the idea of toxic positivity, right? Which people harp on so severely, and I get it, but also, like, there's a reason that positive thinking emerged as a practice. It's because the human brain has a bias for negativity. And obviously we're putting very qualitative statements on these things. So when I say that our brains are hardwired for negativity, it means that they're hardwired to perceive threats, things that could be dangerous, which often the things we think of as being negative are associated with some type of feeling of threat, survival, discomfort can also be associated with survival. And so learning to practice positivity is because many of the ways that our brains are wired no longer make sense in the way that we live now as human beings, because our lives have shifted so dramatically compared to how fast or slow we have physically evolved to adapt to our surroundings, to our technology, to our lifestyles, and to our survival needs. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't throw out positive thinking because, oh, toxic positivity. Now I have to be in my negativity because I just need to be with it and be with what is. Well, also be aware of the way your brain works. Be aware of the fact that when you think of one sad, negative experience, the amazing magic of our brain is that you will automatically have these neural pathways that help you remember all the other negative experiences in your life. And suddenly you're like, why am I thinking about that horrible time I was at the bus stop and I'd just been broken up with my partner and then the bus splashed water all over me when that was like 10 years ago? Well, because our brains work that way. And knowing and understanding the way that you work is a part of cohesiveness. Mm-hmm. That is, right? We're not trying to pretend we don't have shadows. We don't have negativity. It's about understanding what that means, how it affects your functioning. How can you empower yourself? If you just want to roll through the world, not making any choices, that's a choice and that's okay. But that's not really the work that Marita and I are about. If you think about, I know. Tools are created, right? Toxic positivity is an example, but there's others. Tools are created to serve a purpose. And then what happens is we start applying them to things they weren't meant to fix. Positivity is not meant to fix and erase the rest of human experiences. You know, being trauma informed does not mean that we then move into a place of disempowerment with then for the rest of our lives, we're just like, oh, I have trauma. It's my trauma. Don't touch my trauma. Don't trigger my trauma. Right. You know, the conversation around empathy and empaths does not mean everybody is an empath who has an ex who is a narcissist. And it's important to not throw out the original idea completely, though, because there's a reason. It serves a purpose. We just don't need to apply it to everything. You don't need to hit everything with a hammer.
In other words, don't live your life as a meme.
Yes, exactly. I just did a post today about all these different things that I just don't have the time to write posts about and post every day. And one of them was about this same topic. You know, it's just because you're triggering somebody doesn't mean it's because you're suddenly so high vibe and empowered, and they, you know, could be that, could be nothing, could be anything, right? All right, that all being said, can begin by just reconnecting to that root that we set, that we connected to at the beginning of this practice. Just kind of reaching out with your awareness and reminding yourself that it's there.
As you do that, you've been using a lot of words. And words sometimes have images behind them, they have meaning behind them. And I suggest that right now you imagine a big basket. Just dump in all the words that you just heard. Just dump them like Scrabble. Just a bunch of tiles all over the place in this basket being held. It can just be words, sounds, vowels, consonants. You don't have to mean what you think they were supposed to mean. They don't have to be attached to the stories. You don't have to know right now. So just dump them all into this beautiful basket woven out of birch, woven in a sacred way, reminding you you are one of the trees. You are a sacred being.
As always, for this meditation, you are welcome to keep your eyes closed, or you may soften your gaze and look at something around you. Whatever will facilitate you connecting to yourself and your own experience. And that is the most important piece of this meditation. It's more important than following any visualizations, any of the words that I'm saying, any noises, anything. Is just to take this precious, sacred pause to connect to yourself, which is only possible through the gift of consciousness, which is not just about the mind. As you breathe, begin to follow your breath inwards. It's like you can shrink down and follow the air molecules as they fly inwards towards your lungs and your body. Following yourself inwards. Till you find a relatively quiet space inside of yourself. Maybe you hear the sounds of your heart beating or blood moving through your veins, the soft movement of your breath, but it's muffled, it's protected, it's quiet. Staying connected to this place inside of yourself, staying grounded there, keeping yourself and your awareness somewhat tethered there. I invite you to reflect back over the past 24 hours and remember moments that were beautiful, peaceful, loving, joyful, anything that you appreciated, awe-inspiring. They could have lasted a second. They could have lasted for minutes and minutes. They could have lasted for hours. But to identify these moments, to see them as these little floating gems of light in this timeline moving backwards through the past 24 hours. And as you see them, to actually begin gathering them, picking them like they're huckleberries that you're finding along a trail, asking permission. But these are your memories, they're not wild huckleberries. So you may need to ask permission from yourself and your former self, but gathering these jewels, these berries, these treasured experiences, staying tethered to yourself and anchored in yourself in this process, and bringing them back to that place within you where you landed, where you are tethered inside yourself. And taking time along the way, you don't have to rush this process to get every single beautiful moment. There's no urgency or rule that says you need more. The idea here is to really touch in to your appreciation, to the way that you experience these moments. You reveled in these moments. You noticed these moments. You savored these moments. And bring them back and place them around you inside yourself. Almost like you are arranging a little garden of jewels around yourself, like an altar with yourself at the center. Once you have gathered some of these beautiful memories, and some of them may be sad. Some people experience grief as a very touching, beautiful thing. They don't all have to be happy-go-lucky memories. To be able to be memories that you enjoy, that you love, that you appreciate. Once you've gathered these around you, I invite you to stray a little further back and begin looking along the past week. Looking for these gems, these moments. Seeing them like stars in the sky that you're choosing to draw a constellation with. Remembering to stay grounded, to stay tethered within yourself. This is not about taking a long and winding journey away from yourself. Just allow a part of you to stretch back and remember. And to bring these new jewels, these gems, these beautiful treasured moments with you. Place them around you where you have come to rest inside of yourself. Again, arranging them around you in a beautiful garden of treasures in the shape of an altar where you are at the center. And you may find that you have an endless space around you inside of yourself, but you may find that you might need to begin placing things along the walls of the space that you're in, tucking them into crevices, hanging them. You don't need to gather all of the moments. But when you hold each one, I invite you to see if you can remember how it feels. Feel the feeling of that moment. Whether that comes to you by visualizing exactly what that moment was, whether that comes to you by verbalizing silently to yourself what that moment was, or whether it comes to you through the physical feeling of embodiment in that moment. Reconnect to the experience of that moment and find a place to place it around you. Once you have spent a little time doing this during the past week of memories, we will begin to work on the past month. You don't have to follow along precisely. You can take some more time if you need to for the week, for the past week of time. But once you are ready, remaining tethered to yourself, remaining tethered to that place inside of yourself that you've landed, that you are building this beautiful altar around yourself, I invite you to reach back over the course of the past 30 days, gathering these beautiful gems and jewels and moments and experiences. It may have just been as simple as a moment of pride in yourself, a moment of peace when you finally laid down on your bed for the night and you felt your body relax. A glass of water that was so cold when you were so thirsty. It was just amazing drinking the water. These moments don't have to be complex. They can be absolutely mundane, everyday moments. There are no ordinary moments. Remembering to breathe and stay connected to your breath. Peeking back over the month, gathering up the gems, the jewels, the berries, the experiences, placing them around you, hanging them within the space that you're in. And when you are done, take your time. Returning to that space and sitting in the center of all of these beautiful moments, and taking a moment to pause before we move forward. Notice how all of these moments are radiating their light. They're glowing, whatever color naturally occurs to you, but they're glowing with their light and they're glowing with their energy. Their energy is radiating out into the space. It is filling the space inside of yourself and soaking into all of your fibers and tissues and energies surrounding the space. And you are at the very center of it. And it might feel intense to actually sit in this level of positivity, this level of appreciation and happiness and enjoyment. You may have some things coming up about it. It may feel perfectly easy and beautiful, but it may not. Both of those are welcome, but I invite you to practice really sitting in this energy, letting your body shift and make physical adjustments, letting your breath shift, letting yourself relax and feel at ease in ways that you may not be used to doing on camera. If you need to turn off your camera, you're welcome to do that, but we will be finishing the meditation in just a moment, so I'd encourage you to stick with it. Before we return, I invite you to just do a little quick body scan as you take your next 3 breaths. Just noticing how this feels in your whole body, top to bottom. Don't have to adjust anything. If there's things that have not changed, that is absolutely okay, but also notice the things that may have changed. Notice where your energy is sitting within you. And as you scan upwards, you can begin to follow your breath. Say goodbye to this beautiful little labyrinth, this little altar that you've created inside yourself, which may remain there. And begin to follow your breath back up, back out, bringing your awareness outwards. And we are going to do just a little hand rubbing before we actually seal in the practice at the end of the ceremony and the circle closing. So just rub your hands together, get them nice and warm. And as your awareness is rising back out, I invite you to just place your palms gently over your eyes so that the seat of your palms are over your eyes, but you can still open your eyes gently behind them, letting a little bit of light in. This is actually a practice from Hinduism and yoga that was passed to me by our teacher, And just draw your hands down your face, letting the light back in, bringing your awareness back outwards, and we will begin. We will open the circle up for any last shares before we begin closing the circle.
Shares or prayers?
Shares or prayers? I have a curiosity question, actually, if anybody is willing to share. Did anybody find it uncomfortable to have all of those beautiful memories and experiences carried inside of you at the same time? Yeah, Daku. Yeah, there's a few people nodding their heads. I was wondering about that piece. I had a sense of that, which is why I added that part, that comment. It's absolutely normal to feel uncomfortable if it's something that you haven't had for a while. Our body just reads as uncomfortable a lot of the time, even if it's exactly what we want. I had that experience just the other day. All right, is there any other, are there any prayers or shares not on the comment that I asked that anybody wants to put in the circle for this new moon in Taurus?
Jackie?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me okay? Okay. I don't know how to put this into words, but, or like, wrap it up. Prayers abound. I don't know, I'm dealing with grief with, in regards to changing work locations and that closing and something. So it's basically, that trusting and surrendering to this new chapter and having faith that it's going to be okay. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Jackie.
much. Thanks, Jackie. Nish?
Thank you for safety, for opening a container where I can just be,
Mm-hmm.
where I can meet the things that I need to, and remember into the memories that need to come.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling gratitude today for that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thanks for being here.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for going there.
Yes. Go ahead, Jackie.
Okay, it came to me. It was the sense of not being responsible for everybody else. So, yeah. So I don't know if that's a prayer or just needed to be shared, but that feeling of being responsible for everybody else and letting that kind of surrendering that and knowing that this is what my essence, body, and heart truly wants, and being okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That felt better. That's what it was.
Awesome. That can be a hard one to surrender to. So witnessing you in that for sure.
No more ankle biters. Okay.
It's going to be about 20 years till we're done with ankle biters.
I know, but figuratively, I'm talking about
I know,
figuratively, not chihuahuas. But ay, beautiful. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
good.
Yeah, let's do it.
So with that, with deep gratitude, knowing that gratitude links us to each other, to the parts of ourselves, to the wonderful world around us, the 11 kingdoms, to those who have lived before us, their memories, their support, to the rain that's pouring down right now in Hawaii, to the rainbow that I'm sure will appear soon. And with that energy and that gratitude, knowing we are one, when we allow ourselves to be united in our mind, our body, and our essence, that is the bridge between cultures, beliefs, ideology, everything. The tree of life is inside of you. Let it grow. And with that, we thank Onohe, Grandmother Moon, and all the moonwalkers who have walked before us, following her and following her cycles, always making sure to do their practices, knowing that they belonged to the earth and to the stars and to each other and one another. With that, we give gratitude and thanks for Mother Earth for always holding us and teaching us new things, teaching us how to live every day.
Mm.
And to all the guardians of the directions, the east, the west, the south, the north, with gratitude and thanksgiving. Let's take our 3 breaths as we thank our essence. In and out through the nose as we thank our bodies. In and out through the nose as we thank our minds. Doesn't mean they have to separate. We're just thanking them. They can stay together. They can stay together. It doesn't mean that they got to go on their own way. We're just saying thank you. And with that, let us rub our hands together, reminding us that we unite the right and the left, all parts of ourselves here in the center of our heart, sealing everything. Thank you, 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 thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you all for
everyone.
being here. Have a beautiful new moon. We will see you probably before the next moon, most of you, but until the next time I see you. Ciao.
Aloha, everyone. Have compassion.